Today I'm going to make a presentation about off-chain payment channel survey paper SOK off-chain the transaction. Blockchains offer a mechanism through which mutually mistrusting entities can cooperate in the absence of a trusted third party. However, the use of broadcast in those non-custodial protocols limits their scalability to about 10 transactions per second compared to custodian payment systems with thousands of TPS. So scaling limitations and transaction latencies have led to a rich literature corpus exploring different blockchain scaling solutions. For example, there are alternative blockchain consensus architectures, sharding, and sidechains. Contrary to the prior mentioned solutions, layer 2 protocols scale blockchains without changing the layer 1 trust assumptions, and they do not introduce additional consensus mechanisms. Layer 2 protocols enable users to perform so-called off-chain transactions through private communication rather than broadcasting the transaction on the blockchain. This optimization reduces the transactions load on the underlying blockchain and is fully backward compatible. A rich body of literature has emerged on off-chain protocols, proposing payment, state and virtual channels, payment channel networks, PCNs, and related routing protocols, channel rebalancing, channel factories constructions, commit chains and channel hub, and privacy enhancing channels. This paper aims to clear the fog surrounding layer 2 protocols. The authors distinguish between 4 different layers within a blockchain system. Trusted execution environment substitute the need for a blockchain clock with a trusted hardware assumption, thus enabling efficient protocols at other layers such as off-chain payments, the removal of dispute processes, and backward compatibility. The network layer, or layer 0, is typically a peer-to-peer layer on which blockchain nodes exchange information asynchronously. And layer 1 hosts an immutable append-only chain or block that accumulates transactions from parties in a network. Layer 2 protocols typically assume 2 properties from the blockchain layer: integrity. It is that only valid transactions are added to the ledger, and eventual synchronicity with an uptime bound. It is that a valid transaction is eventually added to the ledger before a critical timeout. Payment channels emerged to support rapid one-way payments, then transition toward bidirectional channel designs where both parties can issue and receive payments. State channels generalize the concept to support the execution of arbitrary state transactions. A channel's lifetime consists of 3 phases: channel establishment, transition, and dispute. All parties cooperatively open a channel by locking collateral on the blockchain. Here, the funds can only be released by anonymous agreement or through a predefined refund condition. Once the channel is open, all parties can update the channel state in a 2-step process. First, one party proposes a new state transition by sending a signed comment, and the new state I to all other parties, but on this figure only 2 parties exist. Second, all other parties recompute the state transition to verify the proposed state before signing it and sending their signature to all other parties. Here, if an honest party does not receive any signatures before a local timeout, the honest party may trigger a later on dispute and enforce a new state transition without the cooperation of the other parties. Channel constructions are inherently based on state replacement techniques like this figure. These techniques assume that a user publishes an ordered state if it represents a payment of higher value for this user, and there are 4 state replacement techniques: replaced by incentive, replaced by time lock, replaced by revocation, and replaced by version. In RBI, a rational receiver only signs and publishes the state that pays the highest amount. In RBT, the state with the lowest time lock is considered the latest state. In RBR, all parties collectively authorize a new state before revoking the previous state. Upon dispute, the blockchain provides a time period for parties to prove that the published state is a revoked state. In RBV, states have a monotonic increasing counter representing the state version. For RBI and RBT, the latest state can only be written to the blockchain once. For RBR and RBV, introduce a dispute process where the counterparty can provide evidence that a state submitted to the blockchain is invalid. And from here, this paper presented the evolution of payment channel designs. First one is replaced by incentive. Spielman presented the first major step here towards secure unidirectional payment channels based on the RBI mechanism. This channel allows a sender to issue payments to recipient, but the recipient cannot send the funds back through the same channel. The channel state is represented as the balance of funds of both parties within the channel. To issue a payment, the sender assigns a new state that monotonically decrements the sender's balance and monotonically increments the receiver's balance. When closing the channel, a rational receiver publishes the latest received state to settle with the highest amount of coins. So unidirectional payment channels are the only type of channel that allow the sender to remain safely offline without the risk of losing fund. And also a pair of RBI channels can be combined to support bidirectional payments. In a UTXO based blockchain, RBT allows the construction of bidirectional payment channels. Each state update is associated with a time lock, which prevents the transaction's acceptance into the blockchain until some predefined time in the future. The time lock associated to the new state update is decremented by an amount delta, while RBT enables rapid micropayments. This mechanism suffers from notable limitations. The party receiving the final state update must be aligned to claim and publish the latest payment on the blockchain. If the latest state does not get accepted within delta time, it does mean due to blockchain congestion. The counterparty has an opportunity to broadcast an ordered state update attempting to reverse the final payment. So the choice of delta and the number of payment direction changes limit the channel transaction throughput, scaling. Poon and Dryer propose Lightning channels to overcome the previous state replacement channel throughput limitations and to remove expiry times here. So the paper refers to Lightning channels as RBR, replaced by revocation, because both parties agree on the channel's new state before revoking the old state. To revoke, both parties exchange revocation secret and retain those during the channel's lifetime. You can think revocation key is such as a pre-image of hash. A penalty mechanism discourages parties from broadcasting older states. If one party broadcasts a revoked state like this, the blockchain accepts within a time window proofs of malfeasance from the other party. A successful dispute grants the winning party all coins of the channel, like here. The RBR is the first channel designed to require both parties to remain aligned and fully synchronized with the blockchain to observe malicious closure attempts. Unfortunately, RBR introduces unfavorable implications for third-party watching services, with n being the number of channel updates. And RBR entails big O n storage, as the watching service must store evidence for every in-channel update to prove an authorized state as revoked, like this. State channels extend the payment channel concept toward the execution of arbitrary applications and typically involve two smart contracts, one for state channel itself and one for the to be executed application. Non-state channels rely upon RBV as the state replacement technique and thus entail big O1 storage requirements for watching services. To the best of the author's knowledge, only Sprites and Perun offer formal security proofs. So this paper distinguished state channels among closure dispute and command dispute. In a closure dispute, one party triggers a dispute to close the channel and to continue the application's execution exclusively on layer 1. To install on an application, both parties collectively sign the application's use state, the number of coins allocated to it, and its initial version. To uninstall the application, both parties authorize a state that terminates it and deallocates the coins. So Kitsune in this paper relies on the same closure dispute process, but is designed to support n parties. It's Kitsune the design of kitnet protocol. A command dispute aims to execute a specific command on the parent chain and then resume execution of chain. The channel does not close and can continue its off-chain execution after the command executes. The blockchain grants a predefined time window to collect commands from each party, and all commands execute after the dispute process expires. After the dispute, the state version increments, and the new state transition is considered the newest channel state. And PISA reduces surprise dispute caused by allowing parties to submit a hash of state. Counterfactual command dispute process allows the execution of multiple commands by extending the dispute process expiry time depending on the number of commands. Aiming to reduce the number of required on-chain transactions, the approaches introduced here increase the flexibility of channels with regard to application and participant. General state channel networks and counterfactual explore the possibility of installing and uninstalling applications off-chain without on-chain fee. This allows parties to execute multiple concurrent applications. Such modular channels maintain a set of application instances, and each instance operates on an individually allocated collateral. In other words, application instances are isolated from each other even in case of dispute, and it is based on revocation by version RBV. Here is the paper, General State Channel Networks. The channel designs discussed in the previous sections are limited to the direct interaction among connected parties. This brings forth a new question of whether it is possible for two or more parties to avoid setting up a new direct channel on the parent blockchain if there is a path of channels that connect them on the network. To facilitate synchronizing a payment or executing a smart contract across a path of channels, this paper presents conditional transfers. Those allow the sender to lock coins into a transfer such that the receiver can only claim the funds if condition is satisfied before an expired time. And it is crucial that all synchronization techniques guarantee no counterparty risk and atomicity of the transaction, such that no honest parties along the path are at risk of coin loss or theft. HTLC enables cross-channel synchronization by allowing A to lock X coins from A and B's channel that are only redeemable if the contract's conditions are fulfilled. HTLC ABYXT rely on a collision-resistant hash function H. A hash value Y equals HS, where S is chosen uniformly at random. The amount of coins X and a timeout T. If B produces a value S such that HS equals Y before timeout T expires, B gets the locked X coins. Otherwise, if timeout T expires, the locked X coins go back to A. Let's assume that A wants to send a payment to C using B as intermediary, and there exists a channel between AB and BC. The receiver C generates a secret S and provide the initial sender A with the hash of the secret HS. A can then establish a HTLC with B, the next of which B may spend under the condition that he can provide A with the preimage of HS before a set expiry date, generally expressed in number of blocks. Should B fail to provide the requested input in time, A is able to commit a refund transaction on chain. B then constructs a similar HTLC with C with two main differences. First, the lock period of the HTLC output is reduced, thereby ensuring that B has enough time to claim the funds from the previous hop. And second, the amount of coins locked in this HTLC is reduced. The difference in locked coins corresponds to the service fee charged by B for the forwarding of the payment. As C is the final receiver, C can safely reveal S to B, who then has a sufficient period of time. The longer the payment path, the more collateral must be resolved. In the worst case, the collateral cost is zeta L square x delta, where I is the number of channels, x is the payment amount, and delta is the time that an on-chain transaction takes. So, Sprite introduces a preimage manager smart contract. Sprite is one of payment channel protocols. And so Sprite allows a single dispute to atomically finalize the synchronized transfer for all hops along the path, and this reduces the collateral cost for synchronizing a payment across L channels to zeta L x delta. So Sprite converts disputes as local events in each channel to a single global event. The smart contract accepts the preimage of a hash and stores it alongside a timestamp. All parties along the path introduce a new conditional transfer that asserts the transfer is only considered complete if the preimage X of hash H was published in the preimage manager before time T. Path intermediaries in the channel synchronization are required to remain online and explicitly confirm all mediated transactions. General state networks and Perun address these shortcomings with the introduction of virtual channels that support payment and state transitions. All intermediaries along the route can lock coins for a fixed period of time, and both parties can treat the path as a new virtual channel connecting them directly, like here. Bob is not engaged. Bob seems like not engaged with this channel, this virtual channel. In this manner, A and B can transact. A and C can transact without interacting with intermediaries along the path, thus reducing the transaction latency. An alternative layer 2 technique is to leverage trusted execution environment, such as Intel SGX. T-chain synchronized payment across channels using TEs. Also, Tesseract proposes to construct a scalable TE-based cross-chain cryptocurrency exchange. Trusting a TE to provide integrity naturally overcomes many obstacles of non-TE protocols. But note that besides the shifted trust assumptions towards the CPU manufacturer, TEs suffer from their own security concerns, such as rollback and side channel attacks. And to elevate the aligned assumption of PCN, payment channel network users, some works propose to outsource the responsibility of issuing challenges to third-party watching services. Monitor for Lightning Network and Watchtower for L2 are being developed, and PISA provides watching services for state channels. Users outsource their latest state to the watching service before parting offline. Watching services then act on behalf of the user to secure their funds. In this case, the user will be Bob. After Bob becomes offline, and watch service must monitor the blockchain so that this watch service can place the latest state of Bob onto the blockchain if Alice places her latest state onto blockchain. So users can still verify the correct behavior of watching services and punish them by keeping pre-allocated collateral in case of non-compliance. In contrast to channels, commit chains are maintained by one single party that acts as intermediary for transactions. This paper provides an overview of no cost on account-based commit chain. Similar to payment channel hubs, a commit chain relies on a centralized but untrusted intermediary that facilitates the communication among transacting parties. Unlike channels, commit chains do not rely on a three-state model, opening, live, dispute, or closure pace, but rather on an always ongoing state once launched. The operator is responsible for collecting commit chain transactions from the users and periodically submits a commitment to all collected transactions to the parent blockchain. Users can join by contacting the operator also, and they can then conduct transactions that are recorded on the commit chain, and users can anytime withdraw or exit their assets to the parent chain. Commit chain users may need to periodically return online to observe the on-chain checkpoint commitment, which can be instantiated as worker-root or general knowledge proof. Worker-root commitments do not self-impose valid state transitions and therefore require users to participate in challenge response protocols if a commitment is invalid. And as commitment data is not broadcasted for efficiency reasons, users must retrieve or maintain data required to exit the commit chain, commonly referred to as the data availability requirement. Data availability challenges may challenge a commit chain operator to provide the necessary data or halt the operator upon misbehavior. It allows users to exit with their last confirmed balance. The centralized operator may become a point of availability failure, but not of custody of funds. The operator may thus censor commit chain transactions, encouraging mistreated user to exit any time and move toward another commit chain. The last one is reduced routing requirements. Operator has all members' information, and all members can transact directly through centralized server. So low cost is an account-based commit chain where on-chain address is associated to a commit chain account. The no-cost on-chain contract expect to periodically receive a constant size commitment to the state of the commit chain ledger from the operator containing each user's account in the collateral pool. The commitment to this large state is constructed such as that it is efficient to prove and verify in the smart contract that a user's commit chain account was updated correctly by the operator, such that transfers, withdrawals, and deposits can be securely enacted. Users can deposit any amount of coins within the contract and perform commit chain payments of any denomination towards other users. So finally, here is overview of different channel design proposals. First one is RBI protocol. Spillman's micro payment channel and Raiden networks only support payment channel, and each of protocols throughput are bound to sender's deposit and network. Second is DMC. It uses RBI and time lock at the same time. Lightning also support only payment channel, and because of revocation key, the monitoring third party should store revocation keys proportional to the number of states, as I mentioned previous slide. And lastly, those are RBV protocols. To the best of my knowledge, Peron does not support state channel because Peron cannot execute arbitrary application on the channel. But this paper says Peron is state channel. Anyway, only Sprite and Peron offer formal security proof. Thanks for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know.